Hey there, James here, and I want to share with you this interview that I did with Dr. Leandra Brady-Walker, otherwise known as the Cosmopolitan Hippy. Now, Leandra has her own podcast called The F Words, where she talks a lot about the issues that are going on in people's lives and being very much a kind of a personal and relationship coach, as well as setting a health standard for the people that she works with. She's actually got a background as a chiropractor. She still does practice as a chiropractor, but as well as that, she's running the podcast, she runs retreats and trainings, and she's got a book called The Cosmopolitan Hippy. You will absolutely love Leandra. She's a ball of energy, very different from most of the chiropractors that you're going to meet, and her story is an absolutely fascinating one, full of energy and adventure. So listen in and enjoy the journey. Hey, great to have you along this morning, Leandra. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really awesome to have you here. And I wanted to start by welcoming you and then asking you to share a bit about what it is you do right now. We'll go back and look at some of your past business ventures and winning an award and owning a clinic and all that sort of stuff. But what is it you're doing right now? Share some of that vision and the passion that you've got for what you're doing now.
So right now I live in Ballarat, it's about an hour outside of Melbourne. I have two girls. My husband's a chiropractor and he works full-time. I am also a chiropractor and I work about 12 hours a week. And then the rest of the time I'm with my girls. I also have a podcast, which is called The F Words, which is where I have difficult conversations with people. And I write books. So I've written two books. I've written a cookbook and a girl's guide to health. And I also run workshops and retreats. So I'm about to run my first workshop in Ballarat. We've been here about 18 months, but sort of been taking a bit of a break. Last year I ran a weekend retreat for women. And that was amazing and I loved it, and I'm probably going to do another one, but it's like just crap tons of work. And I'm just about to do just a short workshop. I'm running that this week, and then next month I'm running a lunchtime retreat, and then I'm about to start planning a day retreat, and then hopefully start next year I will be running another weekend retreat. So yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like you're keeping really busy, bit of an overachiever.
Well, when I'm forced to put it into what am I doing? It's like, oh, there's actually lots of it.
Yeah, there is a lot, which is great. How did it start? Take us back. Were you the chiropractor first and then you've built out these other things?
I was. So so my husband and I we're both chiropractors, so we met at uni. We both moved to Dublin when I finished. And
wow.
we decided we wanted a European adventure, and we looked at buying a clinic in Portugal, and that fell through, which was actually really good. Yeah, and then so we went and worked in Dublin for a year. We worked for two different clinics, and they both were terrible, and they were horrible. I always say to people when they've finished studying, just take your first job because you'll hate it no matter what. You don't know how you're going to practice. So the first job was horrid. The second job was even worse. So we came back, and my mum lived in Darwin. And we had literally no money, and I'm an only child, so she'd moved my room up there. So she said, just come, my chiropractor will offer you a job, and just come and heal and just be here for a little while, and then, you can decide.
Great.
And so we're like, okay, fine, let's do that. And we got there, and then we had all these job offers, and we hated them all because we were just like, you know what, we've done it. I've worked for someone else, and, I put in the hard hours and felt like I got no return and, no actual recognition. So we thought, bugger it, we'll just start our own. So I remember having our first meeting with our finance guy in my mum's living room, and he was like, I can't give you anything. You've got no working experience. We couldn't get a credit card. We couldn't get a Woolworths credit card. We get nothing. So it was like, all right, so how are we going to start this clinic? So we both got part-time jobs. I worked in a health food store. My husband worked stacking shelves in Woolworths.
Great.
And we literally used all our spare change and, printed off flyers at Office Works, designed a logo back on Vistaprint when, before Canva was around. Got a couple, 100 business cards printed, and we just literally walked the streets and handed out stuff saying, hey, we're the new chiropractors in town. We took a serviced office. and it was ridiculously expensive. It was like almost $2,000 a month for this like
Wow.
tiny serviced office, just the one of it. And yeah, but we were there for 4 months, and we built up enough of it. We started on, you can't see it, but I've got like a portable table behind me in my office. We started on that, like we had no real table, and but yeah, within 4 months we bought a table because $5,500 for one of our tables. So plus the shipping up to Darwin. Yes, we bought a table, we bought an activator, we bought some massage stuff, and 4 months we moved out. We took a 3-office like street frontage in Darwin CBD, and then within 16 months we won a Telstra Business Award.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and yeah, we knew nothing about business.
So like in university, when you are in chiropractic, like you have a business course, and it's literally like, here's IKEA catalog, here's realestate.com, just have fun. So you know nothing about business. So it was a really big learning curve for us to be like, so there's a, I think they're all around Australia, the BEC, which is the Business Enterprise Centre. And we went there, and they had like 2.5 days, 5 free courses of like crash course of, if you want to start a business, this is how you do it, sort of thing. And that was amazing because it was like, oh my gosh, bookkeeping. Oh.
Yeah. And that's through the local council, right? That's what you're saying. It's the local.
Or the government or something.
Yeah, it's usually through the business development unit of the local council, which is a government-run thing. Yeah. And people can absolutely check that out. Almost every single council runs them. So that's great.
Free. And you can go, and like they will give you free advice.
Yeah.
That was invaluable. It was amazing because it was just all like, I remember taking so many notes of just like, we can do that. I didn't know we have to do that. And, and all that sort of stuff of just like, wow, I had no idea, like none whatsoever. Like I know how to be a chiropractor. Like that was easy.
Yeah.
Like the putting hands on people, making people feel better, easy. But it was all the other stuff of like, did you know that this, we had to get to play music, we had to get a license.
All sorts of stuff that you don't even know about, which is not uncommon. That whole story is really normal. But it sounds like you had a really great journey. I mean, you must have grown fairly quickly, and you did a lot of learning fairly quickly. What do you think, looking back on that, what do you think was the biggest thing that made the difference for you? Because I know that a lot of people are the opposite. They start with no understanding of business, and they kind of just peter out, they kind of get stuck and then either quit the industry or go get a job for someone else again or whatever. What do you think made the difference for you to be winning an actual business award so quickly after starting up with no knowledge of business? Yeah. What's made the difference?
Well, I don't know. It was kind of like, well, we have to survive, right? Like there was just no other option. It was like, we do this or we go home. Like, what else? What are our options here? So we just thought to ourselves, well, we'll give it a go. And I'm of the opinion, if you try anything, you try it 110%. You put everything into it.
Yeah.
And then if it fails, well, it fails. But then you know that you did everything. Like I just don't want to be that person who's like, oh yeah, but it failed. But if I had done this differently, then it could have been better.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's it. So you go full in and you see it grow. It sounds like it went really, really well. So what happened after that? You've got this like amazing chiropractic clinic. You and your husband are running it. You're in Darwin, but you're not in Darwin anymore. And now you're doing all this extra stuff. What's the journey? How did that happen?
That was interesting. So in 2012, the year we won our Telstra Business Award, I had a baby. So we were nominated for a Telstra Business Award and then found out about like 10 seconds later that I was pregnant. So I was like, should we do it? Should we go through the Telstra Awards? And we're like, yeah, screw it. We've been nominated. Again, I'm just like, we'll just do it. So we did. So we went through the Telstra Business Awards. I also did a development program called KPI, which is how we know each other. I did that while I was pregnant, living in I flew down every 8 weeks to do the course there, and we went through the Telstra Business Awards and we were running our clinic. Again, it's just like,
there's a pattern of overachievement I'm seeing here.
Yes, there is. But yeah, it was just like, well, why not? We'll just do it, right? And now that I have kids, I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I did it then, because everything is like 110 times harder when you have children.
Yeah.
Yes. So we just did it. And
so you got the training that you needed and you had that massive drive. Obviously, I can still hear that, the kind of passion to just keep moving and doing things. launching from being a chiropractor and working one-on-one with people and having that close relationship, like in the same room as people, to then moving to someone who's running workshops and retreats, and then also doing things where you're not actually face-to-face with a lot of your audience, like podcasts. How did you find that transition?
Really interesting, actually. And I've done a lot of a lot of thinking and a lot of analyzing around it, especially lately. So when I did, in Darwin, I was a bit of a celebrity because it's not a hard place. It's not hard to be a celebrity. So people would come to me, and I built this brand. I built Cosmo Hippy because after I had a baby and I came back into the clinic, my husband had really sort of taken over. It was really his thing. And, I had this small child who I had to take care of, and I felt like I needed a sandpit. I needed something else. Because the clinic had grown to a really good size. So what was I going to be doing there? So I needed a new project. So I had a lot of clients who had asked me oh, how do you do it? You're pretty, you dress nicely, you have makeup on, but you're still really healthy. And, how do you do it all? So I was like, oh, well, I suppose I'll write a book on it. And that was the first book. So that was 35,000 words. That's that one there. So,
nice.
Yeah. So that was written. And I wrote that pretty much. I was going to try and write it when I was on maternity leave, which was the stupidest idea I've ever had.
But it got done.
I released it when my first daughter was 1, and that was really cool. And that kind of launched me into this other realm of other stuff, because suddenly people stopped seeing me as a hands-on chiropractor and started seeing me as this whole other person and this whole other thing of just wow, there's so much more. And Cosmopolitan Hippy is chiropractic. It's chiropractic lifestyle, because chiropractic isn't just putting hands on people, it's a lifestyle. And that whole book is about living a chiropractic lifestyle.
Yeah, fantastic.
But it's pink. And I naturally challenge people, because I just always have. People look at me and I don't fit the mold that they have in their head. So I kind of ran with that. And Cosmopolitan Hippy is a union of opposites. It's two different things. And that's what my podcast is about. It's about challenging people to think about things differently and listen to other people's stories. But yeah, it kind of all just happened organically and naturally, because I needed something else. I always wanted to change the world. I always wanted to, make people healthier and, get people to think about things differently and change the way they lived. And I just realized I couldn't do that one-on-one with clients.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's fantastic. And being able to see that bigger vision actually at work into reality is fantastic too. Because I know there's a lot of people, especially in the allied health industry or in the sort of health and wellness industry, that do have that really big heart and big vision for the world and for their communities even. But still a lot of them do get stuck. Like what I was saying just about the basic business principles. It's even a lot of people who do run a successful clinic still never take that next step that you have of growing even that bigger, the influence bigger. And I'm really interested in how you've taken what was a successful clinic career and you've kind of had that break state. There's a change that's happened there through having 1 or 2 kids. I think you've got 2 now, right?
Yes. 2.
Yeah. So, you've done that journey as well. It's all mashed in there with a whole lot of change happening in life. And yet at the other side, you've emerged into a new journey that's even bigger and brighter and kind of the next stage of excitement or the next level of what's happening there seems to have just flowed on really naturally. And I love it. I love that you've been able to do that. Is there something that you can share with other people about how that happened, that they might be able to kind of follow along the same path? Because times have changed, can be quite stressful. Challenges are always there in business and in life, in having kids. These are all big challenges. And I love that your story, those challenges are there. You're talking about how you started, you're so tight and all that stuff, but then the outcomes have been fantastic. So what's made the biggest difference over that time? Or what are the things that you can see have been in place that have actually helped that outcome to be so positive?
Well, you make it when I'm talking about it, it makes it sound like it was really easy, but it wasn't. And I think accepting that the journey is going to be crap sometimes.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Challenges are always there.
Always. And you can get, you can get bogged down in the fact, like, I look at people all the time. Like I look at the Merrymaker sisters, and I look at, Pete Evans, and I look at, all these people, and like, Lola Berry, and all these people who have done amazing things. And I'm like, why am I not like them? But you know what? They're not like them either. So
Yeah.
really easy to kind of be like, oh, I wish I was like them, and I wish that things were so easy for me. And it's not easy for anyone, and it's always really, really tough. And that's something to really, to really remember. And the second thing, I think one of the biggest things that was a big break point for me was accepting like money for my time, and expects, because I always was just like, I'm just a healer and I just want to love you. And like, but especially when you have children, it's like, well, Woolworths and schools don't take love.
That's right. You need to have another currency.
This is it. And, it's like, well, if you could feed me in like, petrol and like, food for my children and education, like, sure, we'd have a proper value. But you need to realize that money is just a value, and money is just like, it's just an energy, and it's just a transfer of energy. Like I transfer my energy to you so you feel better. You transfer your energy back to me in the form of money. So there's a fair exchange of value. So it took me a little while to get over that and to actually start doing that. And I think, and the biggest thing, the biggest sort of like light bulb moment for me was when I was doing my retreat last year, and one of the ladies was, I was filming her testimonial about like, how did you find it? And which is it's also a very interesting thing, because that's not a chiropractic service, so I'm allowed to have a testimonial.
Oh yes, of course.
I'm not allowed to, because AHPRA is really very sticky about that. So
massage therapists don't have that issue. We can use testimonials as much as we like, but there's a number of related industries.
But if anyone from AHPRA is listening, that was not for a chiropractic service.
That's the fine print at the bottom there.
But listening to her, and like everything she was saying was how I had designed the retreat. So she was saying like, I felt this, I felt that, I felt cared for, I felt loved, I felt, like I've got this renewed sense of purpose. Everything she was saying, I was like, holy crap, I designed that. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
I made you feel that. And like, I literally made her do a 180 on her life and actually look at herself and, change so many things. And I went, holy crap, that's huge. Like that is huge value. And she actually said, she's like, holy crap, I thought, hey, this is going to be really expensive. But when I paid the money, like I'd pay you double, like I'd pay you triple. Like that was amazing. It was so worth it. And that was my light bulb moment of just like, so actually listening to people, the value I create for people, and understanding that they are okay paying me, and I should be okay taking that money.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great business lesson. And even in the place of workshops and retreats like that, it must be so fulfilling for you to have that kind of feedback that what you've created is making such a change in someone's life.
And it was something else when I had a coach. One of the things she said to me was, she said like, so what's the payoff you get? So, and that's something I think practitioners really need to ask themselves is like, what is your payoff? So I can say that I'm all this altruistic, lovely person, and I just like give my energy and I'm so beautiful. But I have a payoff for that too, right? So yes, one is the money, but two, I actually really love, like I know this about myself, I love to be loved. Like I really like people liking me. I like hearing positive reinforcement. I like having conversations with people. I like knowing people like me. So that's my payoff. So, knowing that about yourself and knowing what that does to your business and what it does to your clients and what it does to yourself is really, really important. So you can ask yourself, am I saying this to my client because they need it, because it's true, or am I saying because I want them to like it? So like they want me to like. I want them. So there was a few times when I was early on in my practice where I wouldn't give people the proper recommendations of care, because I would make a value judgment on them, and I'd say, maybe they can't afford it. Oh, maybe they're not going to like me. They're not going to like what I'm going to say, so I'm just not going to say it. And I realized that's probably the worst thing you can do as a practitioner, because it's not about you. That's me. That's all me. And that's not about me. It's about this person has come to me for help. And if you switch it and think to yourself, if I went to an accountant and I said, hey, I need you to help me with my tax, I need you to do this, and they made a value judgment on, they can't afford this, they wouldn't be able to do that, and they told you something based on what they thought for you, you'd be pissed. Like, you'd be angry, because you're like, no, I came to you and I paid you money to give me your professional opinion, and that's what I want. So it's the same thing with being a chiropractor. It's like, this is my professional opinion. You can hate me. You can go away. You don't have the money. I don't care. None of that's my business. My business is I need you to know exactly what you need. And when I was in Dublin, like Dublin doesn't have any recommendations. I had people taking out loans to pay me because I was like, this is what you need. I can help you. We can do it. Right. And they would take out like thousands of dollars of loans so that they'd pay me. And I didn't know any of that. Like they didn't tell me. And when they told me, I was like, holy crap, we could work something out. But okay. But they're like, you know what? That's not your problem. Like, you told me what I needed to do. I decided I will make that happen.
Yeah. And they recognize the value in what you're doing, and they're making that choice. You know, it's up to them how they then proceed. They could choose to say no if they wanted to. That's absolutely up to them.
Right. And you know what? So if they see the value in what I do, then why should I not see the value in what I do?
Yeah. And it's great self-awareness too in your own part to recognize that you've got that kind of wanting to be liked, you know, because again, that's something that is not uncommon, but it holds some people back. It's like you want to be liked so much that you please people too much. And it's something we talk about a lot in the hands-on professions. It's like part of the whole reason for you, I'm just guessing, but a lot of therapists get into it because they actually love just making people feel comfortable. They love helping and being so nice. And then having those moments where you do have to step up and say something that someone might not want to hear or might not like hearing can be a challenge. And it's actually the same in the business side of things. It's like standing up and doing marketing or making bigger decisions around things like finance or hiring. Growing that muscle of leadership is often the kind of opposite energy to that kind of gentle, caring, nurturing spirit that you've got when you're actually in treatment.
Yeah, you feel like it is. But I think, so what I realized was with marketing and, you know, with leadership and things like that, like I always do, and the same thing with practice, like you come back to, this is going to sound really hippie, but you come back to doing everything with love. So we marketed, and we were the only chiropractic clinic who lived in Darwin who marketed, like no one did marketing. But we marketed with heart. So it's like, I'm not trying to trick, and that's the thing. Like I think advertising and everything is all about tricking people and like manipulating them and getting them to come in and give you their money. But that's not how we looked at it. We looked at it as like I don't want everyone. There are a certain client that I want. There are certain people who I know I can help, and I'll go after them. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not going after them almost. It's almost just like I'm going to present myself in front of them if they choose to come and see me.
Yeah.
So be it. And so you go out there knowing who you want, knowing what you want from them, and you go out there marketing with heart. So you're like, look, I actually want to help you. I actually really like what I do. And, you know, it's, you know, this is about you, not about me. Like, you know, so you come at it from that same place of like why you got into it, why you love it. And people see that. Like, you know, I think we live in the most amazing age where you can build a personal profile, and you can have people come to you who are your clients. Like I have a very specific client base. Like when I was in Darwin, I think I saw like 4 males, and like I think one of them was over the age of 10. So like I had I saw a lot of women, I saw a lot of mums, and I saw a lot of kids. I saw quite a few kids, but you know, like, and I mainly the kids would be of the mums that I would see.
Yeah.
I'd see lots of pregnant, like, you know, I'd see women like, you know, before they got pregnant, then I'd see them through their pregnancy, then I'd see their kids, and like, you know, so that's who I built.
That's awesome. Yeah. And having clarity around a niche like that is a big part of it. And even what you're talking about, clarity with marketing, it's like you've got a message, you've got an audience, and you obviously know then how to present what you're doing in that heartfelt way to that audience. And that's what really authentically creates that connection. Because you're right, it's not about putting some sign up that says, hey, special offer, 20% off, come in and, I don't know, some kind of, it's like, no. People come to see you because they like you and they get value from what you do. So let's just take that, the stuff that they're going to actually like when they come in, and we put that just forward in the relationship. So they see that in your ads and they see that in your marketing, or when you're going around talking to people at the street. You're saying that was the first thing you did, was just literally walk around handing out business cards and that kind of stuff. That kind of thing is still getting into people's faces beautifully with your authentic self. It's perfect.
Exactly. And this is it. Like, I mean, we've had lots of business coaching as well. And I had a few business coaches. I have a very specific look. Like I'm not dressed today, but it's okay. But normally I have I have I have quite high hair. I have a big swirl in my hair. Yeah. I have like red lipstick on. I dress kind of quirky. And I was always told to like not do that because it's like, oh, well, you touch people and, it's not very like, I've got, red lipstick is quite provocative and, it sends the wrong message. And I was like, well, that's who I am. Like, you can't dull who you are because people, and the more I've become myself, the more I attract the right people and the more people, I get that payoff of people liking me. And I was talking about Facebook because we did a lot of Facebook marketing. And so many people, oh gosh, like I got such backlash. Like apparently I created Facebook and they're like, oh, I'm on Facebook and I don't want to care what someone's had for dinner. And I'm like, that's not what it's about. For us, it was about my audience is on Facebook, right? Like people I want to be on Facebook. So I've got a Facebook profile, I post lots of stuff. And like, so I posted, yesterday I posted something about gin with collagen in it, right? So that's not typically collagen is something that's, something I take and, I recommend my clients take and, I talk about, like not giving up good things in life and how you can do that. That got like hundreds of thousands of likes. Well, not hundreds. Like it got lots of likes and lots of likes. And I mean, that's part of my brand.
Yeah, and that's playing the platform well too. That's exactly the kind of thing that works on Facebook. That's it. And I always say to people, it's not about what you like. It's about what your audience likes. Marketing isn't about you. It's about them. And going to, exactly like you're talking about.
This is it. If you pick someone who is your audience, who is like you, like that's so much easier. So like people say to me, oh, like I had this old guy who came up to me and he said, oh, but I'm not on Facebook. You'd be missing me. Like, and he's like, aren't you scared about missing people? And I'm like, A, I'm not scared of anything.
Yeah.
Like not even spiders. And B, like you're not my client. Like you go see someone else. That's totally fine. Like you're an old guy. I don't want old guys in my clinic. That's just not who I am. And this is the thing. At the beginning, like when you're building your practice, yes, you'll see everyone, right? And you have to sort of work out who you'd like to see and things like that. But when, like, as you go in, as you start to get into it, like the people you don't love, they'll start to fall away and they'll start to find other people. And the people you love will stay with you and you can actually build a client only people you love to work with.
Yeah, and that's awesome because then it's got that snowball effect too. The more people you get that you work with that love you, that are like that ideal client, the more it snowballs. They invite their friends, they refer to other people, the reputation builds, especially when you get to that level of creating those, it's the thought leadership stuff, I guess, the book, a podcast, those kind of things that get your word out so much more. Even just running the retreats and workshops is still a step up into that kind of level. Mm-hmm. And that all just enhances your profile. And I quite often say to people too, if you're running retreats and workshops, you're marketing that and people know you for that, even if they never come to one. It raises your profile, it like raises your reputation and helps people understand who you are and what you do. Even if they've never been to one, they're more likely to just know who you are and come in as a client to your table if that's what you're doing.
Exactly. And like, so, I'm doing this workshop on Saturday, so I will be recording it. I'll be, recording it like audio. I'll get someone to record the video on just on an iPhone. And again, I might never ever use that, but I might.
But you've got the option to, repurposing that content.
Exactly. Like you never do anything, like everything you do, you try and get like 25,000 things out of it. Like you do this podcast interview, right? Like this could be a blog post for me or, then I'll share this and, you say, I always say yes to everything. And then you try and get as much as you can out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with speaking things or workshops, it's like I'll record as much of it as I can. But then even if you're like, I spoke for an hour and most of it was pretty boring and bland, but there was that one little bit where the gold came through and I was on fire. It's like, well, just edit the rest out. Exactly. Grab that little 90-second thing and stick it on Facebook. Sweet, you've got some great content.
Precisely. And I mean, it's about being a little bit more, thinking a little bit more laterally when it comes to marketing and things because we did a lot of stuff in Darwin. I mean, this was still, like, when we started, it was 6 or 7 years ago when we started. And print was still dead then. Like print was not something like, I mean, it's great. I still love print magazines and everything like that, but I don't buy anything from a print magazine. So you need to understand where you're spending your money and what you're spending your money for, right? So Facebook works really, really well for me. Running workshops, so giving of my time. And I also speak at other people's events for free. So if someone says, hey, come to my event and speak, I'm like, sure. Off I go. Giving out my book, writing for other publications, writing on my blog, all that stuff is like high time, but very low cost.
Yeah.
And then stuff like being in like print stuff. So, like paying for like, editorials and all, and having photo shoots and all that stuff. Like it's great, but it's about brand awareness.
Yeah.
So you won't get return on investment of that. So like someone like we had very few people who'd be like, oh, I saw you in that magazine and I saw your beautiful glossy pictures and I came in. Because people know, like people get, oh, you probably paid for that. Like, that's not really real. But it's about brand awareness. It's about, the fact that people will see you everywhere and it's like, oh yeah, I'm constantly being reminded of it. But yeah, it's really, really hard now to start. I'm a bit weird about return on investment because it's like, oh yes, you should be able to like track where you're spent and how much it comes in, because there are so many people who come in to see me and be like, oh well, look, my friend Sandy told me about you, and my brother's girlfriend's dog walker's greengrocer sees you, and then I saw an ad on I saw Facebook, and then I've been following you for a little while on your podcast. So it's like, where do you assign that? Like,
yeah, that's right. You're everywhere. But even that, that's the whole point, right? They should be getting multiple touch points and learning who you are across multiple mediums. Where I think the mistake often happens is that people who are right at the start of their journey look at someone like you, Leandra, and think, oh my goodness, to make it big, I've got to start a podcast, I've got to write a book, and I've got to be on Facebook, and I've got to be in the magazines. And well, maybe you can share some of this. I'm not putting words into your mouth, but I'm like, when you first start, no, you don't need to do all that stuff. It's like an inverse pyramid. When you start, you do the things that are going to have the highest connection and the most direct kind of feedback. And then it grows over time. And, 5-10 years down the track, how fantastic if you've got a podcast and you've got this, you've got that. Wherever you end up going is great, but you still start with those steps that look very similar for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like we joined a networking group. We joined BNI back in Darwin, and that was phenomenal for us. It was expensive,
great,
but it was phenomenal. Like, I mean, and if you can't afford to join like a BNI or you can't find one or whatever, like just go to stuff. Like there is like so many different networking events, and lots of them are for free and things. Like in Darwin, we've got like a monthly health and wellness like people meet up. Like just start going to them and like start talking to people, and start a Facebook page and get your mum to like every single page.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to start small, because if you think about it, I don't know, some people seem to think that you start a business and that like everyone has been waiting for you, right?
Yeah, build it and they will come.
Exactly. It's like there's so much noise out there. Nobody will hear you.
Nobody even notices most of the time. It's the complete opposite. Yeah.
So, and the world's not fair in like, no one's going to give you a participation trophy. No one's going to be like, okay, you started a business, sure, let's hear, you'll have some people who'll come to you. Like literally, you will have no one. So if you literally just put up a sign and put your table up, no one will come to you. So you have to get out. And I always talk about, so instead of return on investment, I try to talk about return on energy. So it's like the more outflow you have, the more that will come back to you. It's just that's literally physics. So it's funny because so for 18 months, I've kind of been a bit quiet around Ballarat. Like I haven't done anything. Like, I've done a few things in Melbourne. Spoken at a few events and stuff, but not really anything. And it's funny now that I've only been back in practice for 3 weeks, and so everything had kind of slowed down. Like my book sales had slowed down, even though I'd started the podcast. Book sales had slowed down. Sales of all my online products had slowed down. Everything had kind of quietened down. And then 3 weeks later, 3 weeks ago, I started back at clinic, and all of a sudden, everything's gone through the roof. And the reason is because I've put energy out.
Yeah, you're back in the game.
Exactly. So it's funny because I'm just like, I actually think, getting out of practice isn't the best decision for my brand. Like I think being in practice is probably better for my brand. It gives me more credibility because so many people have asked me like, why do I still keep doctor if like I'm not practicing? And, people say, oh, you call yourself a chiropractor. It's like, yeah, but like that's my cred. Like that's why people.
Yeah.
doctor, I'm a chiropractor. And so I find that I need to be practicing. Like I find that that actually just that 12 hours a week, and that energy going out, that's really essential to me, my practice, my brand.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And even that energy does look different at different stages. Coming back to what you were saying there, it's like at the start, it is more about direct connections and gathering clients. Like essentially you're going to networking meetings just to get people in on your table. But then as you grow a bit bigger and your reputation grows, even the energy you're putting out is shaped a bit differently. It's like you've got that kind of steady base of clients coming through. Your reputation is enough to bring that through. So the energy that you're putting out kind of pivots. And that's when you start looking at, well, how can I actually connect with more people at once and leverage your time and leverage that energy? And that's where things like podcasts and books, it's like you do one episode of a podcast, it takes a few hours to put it together or whatever, then hundreds or even thousands of people can listen to it and get value from what you're doing. And then you've got to find a way for that energy to reverse back in and actually bring you an income.
And it never stops. Like you just keep going and you keep learning, you keep changing, and the problem is different. But it's interesting because my podcast, lots of people I know listen to my podcast, which is odd because I'm like, really? You could just talk to me normally.
We want more.
I'm like, sure. But it's all about positioning you as an authority, right? And for me, I really need that because I am very, just because of my personality type. Like I'm a bit like silly and I say like a lot. And so, people don't tend to take me seriously that easily. And so I need to do that. And, but when you're like, oh yeah, I wrote books, I have kids and I have a podcast, people take you seriously.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's like, I did all that stuff because I wanted to. You don't have to. But, and again, when you're going to networking events and stuff, it goes back to with heart. Like you meet people with heart. So you go to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to go share my knowledge, and I'm just going to be here and just put some energy out there and let's just see what comes back.
Yeah.
Because I hate networking events where it's like I go up to someone and they shake my hand and they give me a business card and they're just like, I do this, 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 and this, and I'm like, I've never sent anyone to you because I have no idea who you are. Like,
and then they just move to the next person, hand the card. We've all been there.
This is not like I'm just like, I put on high heels for this. Like this is gonna be a fun night for me. So just act like a human. Like
I love it. I love it. And what a great central message to come out of this whole chat too. Act like a human. I love it.
But think about how you buy. Like, it's very interesting. Like, so I'm a millennial, which is, comes with all sorts of things. But I don't I read the paper, but I only read the Sunday Life section and the Good Weekend section, right?
Yeah.
I don't read the ads. I know the ads. Okay. I'm on Facebook quite a bit. I'm on Instagram quite a bit. And that's where I find most of my stuff. But most of the stuff I buy will be direct recommendations, right? So I do not watch TV. We have Netflix and Stan, but I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah.
I don't read the local paper. I do see posters around when I'm walking around the city, but it's like, how would you get to me? If I'm your ideal client, how would you get to me?
Yeah.
I won't see you in the paper. I won't see you in a magazine. I won't see you on TV. I won't hear you on the radio. So why would you spend your money there?
Yeah, and you got to find where your audience is and talk their language as well. It's not just being in the right place, but it's like, how does a millennial think? What are the things they actually need that you provide? As long as there's a good connection there, you just share what it is that you do in the place that they're going to see it, and it works really well. I want to kind of, before we wrap up, I want to sort of loop around back to you though, Leandra. And what is it for you? What's the next step? Like, what are you working on at the moment, or what's your vision for maybe the next 12 months, the big things that are coming up for you? And where can people hook in with what you're doing?
So I am looking at getting an au pair.
Oh, wow.
That's sort of the biggest thing for us is realizing that I cannot do it all, and that our stress levels are rising because I've added something else to our plate. I want to make sure that those things are taken care of.
Yeah, great.
And I think so that's one thing we're doing. Fantastic.
Solving challenges.
Yeah, well, that's it. You kind of have to. I mean, it's easy to sit back and be like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. But, it's also your responsibility to sort of go, okay, so this isn't my fault, but it's my responsibility to do something about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's sort of like the biggest thing that's happening. But next 12 months, I'm going to settle into practice and I'm going to start running more events. I find that I'm not I've learned my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm not very good at sitting behind a computer and being in my own office. And it's good being out there and being with people and realizing what other people want.
Good on you. Yep.
Yeah, so running a few more events, keeping up with my podcast, which is falling behind because I have so much on my plate.
It's looking good. I was checking out the episodes this morning. I'm thinking, wow, you release really regularly. It looks fantastic.
Except for the last 2 weeks.
Well, by the time people listen to this, I'm sure you'll be back on track.
I'll have heaps. I'll be I'm into 100 and something. So but yeah, I'm prioritizing a little bit more, and I'm sort of picking things that are, so I learned that owning my own business wasn't a priority for me. I don't want to.
Yeah, great.
So being more in practice, doing more on my podcast, au pair.
It sounds fantastic. What a beautiful next step for your life. And it's a great mix of different things happening there too, which I can tell even from this chat. You're the kind of person that loves just doing a lot of different stuff at once, and keeping on top of that might be a challenge, but I reckon it's a challenge you love. Yeah. Am I right?
I don't mind it. Just before I was speaking to you, I had 10 minutes. So I was like, I'll start dinner.
Sweet. Yeah, I love it.
It's a little bit caramelized, but we're okay.
It's all good. With the longer we talk, the more caramelized it gets. Is that how it works? Right, and if people do want to connect with you more, Leandra, if they want to learn more about the Cosmopolitan Hippy or look at your book or your podcast, what's the central place where they can come and find that stuff?
Well, I'd probably say, so you can go to my website, which is cosmohippy.com.au.
Great.
And that my podcast and things are on there. But I'm on Facebook, which I'm just the Cosmopolitan Hippy, and I'm there quite a bit.
Fantastic.
Cosmo Hippy on Instagram. I'm there quite a bit too. And then my podcast is the F Words. So which is usually once a week on Friday, because Friday starts with
Friday's an F word as well. Nice.
So it's a fun journey, but I think it's very much a personal journey, and it's a lot about yourself. So if you don't want to learn and deal with your own stuff, I don't think you should go into business.
Yeah. It's absolutely the hugest personal development challenge as well is running a business. Yeah, not just professional development.
Exactly. And you have to be able to be very kind to yourself and and be okay with failing and be okay with doing really well. And there's fluxes, and you need to be able to ride out the storms and be okay with that. And if it's not for you, we've got this world where everyone thinks they can be an entrepreneur, and it's kind of hard. It's tough. And as long as you understand it's going to be tough and it's going to be difficult and it's never always going to be sunshine and roses.
You got to be able to step up and walk through it. Exactly right. You've got to have that motivation to overcome the challenges, because they are always going to be there. Exactly. And as you grow, you just get new challenges.
Every step of the way you turn around, you have to look at yourself and go, wow, what have I learned from this? What have I learned about me? And you don't want to do that. Just go work for someone else. There's no shame in that. It's totally fine. And we do need people to work for these people. Just find someone else who aligns with what you love, because they'll be out there, and just go. Yeah.
Join forces. Yeah. Exactly. No, I love it. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Absolutely amazing to have you on here. I know you're usually driving. You're usually at the other end of the microphone. So fantastic to have you on as a guest. I really appreciate it. And best of luck for the next 12 months coming up. I'm really so stoked to see what you're doing, and really impressed with the business growth that you've got. And I'm sure anything you set your mind to is going to happen with the attitude that you've got and the experience that you've got. So well done.
Thanks.
No worries. We'll see you later, Leandra. Bye.